G'day, guys. Welcome to Warrior by Design. As always, I said we're going to be getting some people in here that are out there living the life and trying to make a difference in this world. So I have with us Connie Rose. Connie Rose is a healer, psychic medium, intuitive EFT practitioner. She works closely with spirit to receive guidance and support and assist her clients in finding their strengths and purposes in life. Connie Rose incorporates her extensive life experience in her work and works from that place of love. She helps her clients feel understood and recognized. The number one human need is to be understood. And Connie Rose holds space for others to work through their stuff to heal. The emotions, when ignored and suppressed, create self-sabotage and disease, right? Connie runs one-on-one sessions. She teaches Reiki. She runs healing retreats and developing a mentorship program as we speak. Connie, in all that she offers, all her clients come out with a sense of clarity and realignment, feeling that they've actually achieved something in this moment. When we fully surrender to our path of healing, absolutely anything is possible. So welcome, Connie Rose, and thank you. So guys, I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up. I've actually worked with Connie myself in the years past, and Connie is one pertinent person who's allowed me to be where I am today. Connie has given me an opportunity to work through and supported me through some of the stuff that I needed to do at the time. So I just want you guys to know that when I bring these people on, when I'm bringing these guests on, they're not just anyone, and they're people that I've personally had experiences from, and I can personally vouch for, or others in my direct field, or people that I know have been able to vouch for these people. But Connie is someone that I've worked with personally. Connie, thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
So, as I said, Connie, we're just going to have a bit of a chat. We're going to talk about, I kind of want to have a little bit of a direction today, if we can, I really want to speak a little bit about EFT, right? Because when I work with you with EFT, that was something that really shifted me. It was something that gave me a chance to really interpret myself in a whole different way, right? It opened me up to things that at the time, as you know, I wouldn't even thought was possible or even considered really as being an option for me in that moment. Can you tell us a little bit about EFT and what it is, please?
Sure. So EFT is simply known as tapping, and it's just where we tap on different parts of our body, which are linked to different meridians and energy centers. And when we're tapping on these places, you just tap gently. Anyone can do it. And you may be in a state remembering an event perhaps, or a trauma, or anything like that, and you just tap gently and it breaks up the energy and actually dissolves the emotion that you may be associated with that event. And it's absolutely phenomenal how it actually works, because if I can take my client back to a extremely traumatic event, let's for example say when they were 5 years old, and it could just be where they felt rejected from their father. And it could be as simple as their father saying, "Get out, I'm working." And to a 5-year-old, that could be so traumatic. So if we go back to, say, that event and we just tap on it, we remove whatever emotions coming up for that 5-year-old, whether it be rejection, confusion, anger, sadness, like it could be so many different layers on just that one event. And if we spend, maybe half an hour or 45 minutes tapping on that one event until there's no actual emotion associated with it, it's just a memory and there's no emotion, there's no trigger. But the beautiful thing is that if we associated that event with, say, rejection, and over our lifetime up until, let's say, we're in our 30s or our 40s or our 50s, we've felt rejected in lots of different places. So it's been a different event, yet the same emotion. So if we help that 5-year-old version that was rejected we can actually knock out, say, 5 different events where you felt rejected between now and then, or 5,000 events. So depending on how deep that one event is, it can really be pivotal, is that the word? For your whole healing journey. So it could be just one event where we're helping a 5-year-old when you've turned up to talk about something else. And it's just, the ripple effect is phenomenal. So it's funny because when clients come to me with an issue, it's usually never the issue. Like 99.999%, that is not the issue. And I love it because I'm guided by spirit. So when I work intuitively with these people, I find it easy to know where to go. And half the time my clients are sitting there going, what are you even talking about? Why are we talking about this? This is ridiculous. And it's not until the end of the session where they just go, how the hell have I been carrying around that rejection all my life since I was 5 and not even known it? And all Dad said was get out. It wasn't huge, but we know that as an adult, but as a child, it was very traumatic. So that's an example in a nutshell, I guess, how I'd explain it.
Yeah, look, how important, I think this is, right? Because, here I am as a 40-year-old man, really, really working on stuff, throughout my whole life that, has, as you said, it could be right from being a really young child. And, we hear about all this stuff all the time, like inner child work and this bits and pieces and all sorts. And there's so many explanations out there, right? But for me personally, I can speak from my experience with EFT, because what I noticed was, one, it was very supportive in the sense that there was a lot of like affirmations. There was certainly things going on cognitively in regards to when we're in that space, breaking that kind of that pathway, I suppose, or if that neural pathway that was really related to that potential trauma, and really trying to shift. For me, it was really it really helped me try and shift some of those beliefs, right? Some of those things that I had connected with that trauma, or I've connected with that, for instance, you're saying about that child at 5 years old, like that poor little child, people might say, oh, you just told him to get out. But that child in that moment may have connected with, Dad doesn't love me, Dad doesn't want me, I'm not good enough, whatever it was, like we don't know. Mm-hmm. But there could have been so much connected in that moment for that child that they've carried on this belief throughout, as you said, right through their life or as an adult. And that one event, and obviously this can happen in multiple scenarios too. I mean, we know between 0 and 7, there's a lot more that goes on in regards to our surroundings and our environment, that we take in everything, we're learning, we're adapting, we're, if we want to call it downloading information, whatever it is, we're just absorbing, right? And it's just interesting how much we don't truly understand who we really are. What is our body? What is it about? And what's your experience been with EFT in regards to people shifting, or really everything you do with Reiki, with energy, with everything you do, EFT and all the stuff that, you have educated yourself on? What's been your personal experience with your clients in regards to them being able to shift some of this stuff that they've been hanging on to?
Well, it's absolutely phenomenal, because sometimes it's just the smallest things that make the hugest impacts. And it's usually the story people are telling themselves. And, it really makes a big difference what we're actually telling ourselves. So it wouldn't matter what people say to us. People can say we're amazing, we're loved and everything, but unless we actually feel that about ourselves, we just push those type of compliments and affirmations away. So it's really important that I help people see what I see in them. So when I work with people, I can actually see straight through them, because I actually ask Spirit to bring people to me that are ready to work with me the way I work, because I'm quite unique in my ways. I'm very down the line. I'm very straight speaking, like there's no bullshit in my sessions. So when people come to me, they're ready. They have to be. And it's usually the desperate. So I need to obviously make sure that I stay well to be able to work in that environment as well. But the biggest things I find is I just see people's eyes light up, And like when you do EFT, I've got to look for signals. It's not just the words they're saying, because, you know, usually we talk shit, right? We say how we're feeling, but we're really not feeling that way. And half the time we're lying to ourselves, or we're not admitting it, or we're suppressing it, or whatever that is. And I'm a big believer in speaking. I love to encourage chat, like just talk, tell me how you're feeling. Because 9 times out of 10, again, for me personally, I don't know how I'm feeling unless I'm talking about it. So I do a lot of lives on my Facebook page, and half the time I don't know what I'm going to say. I just channel and I speak and I bring my life experiences into it. And when I talk, that's like the first time I'm hearing it. And if people don't have that ability to allow themselves just to get out of their own way and chat and talk, you probably don't know how you feel, and will stay in that state of confusion and self-doubt and self-sabotage and all the rest of it. So my biggest breakthroughs with my clients is when they just let themselves talk. And I look out for their changes of the color of their skin. Like they might go white, they might go red, they might, you know, get sweaty, they might get clammy, but it's all about expressing it to get it up and out. Because if it stays in, you're a ticking time bomb, and it's extremely dangerous. So I'm not even sure exactly what your question was right now, Benjamin.
No, that's fine. That's great.
Really
It was so it was just pretty much what your experience been, which is what you're telling me, right? And I think,
right,
you know, and one thing I kind of want to say is, right, because I mean, you know me, Connie, you know my background, you know everything, you know that I've worked in many areas and many fields. But what I'm really trying to do is I'm really trying to bring this to the people in a way that can be heard by everyone, right? And because there's so many different ways and beliefs out there, there's so many different things out there. And why I kind of started this was because on my own journey, it was so friggin' overwhelming, right? Because there's so much out there. Now I say so much shit out there, but it's not actually shit. It was just so much information that was out there. There was so many directions or rabbit holes I could go in. But for me, it was really finding that discernment for myself of what's right. Now, people we talk about spirit, we talk about, you know, we might even talk about God or religions, or people have their beliefs or structures of how these things come in, right? Higher selves and whatever it is. But for me, when I bring that back down to the core, it's about me feeling safe enough and to be vulnerable enough to be me in my highest vulnerability, to be able to be open enough to whatever comes my way, and trusting in whatever it is for you, that we're going to be okay, and really trusting in that deep level that we are supported, that we are safe, that we are okay, right? And there's many explanations out there of how we come to that feeling, you know, but for me personally, you know, I suppose where I want to go with this direction is we really don't really understand ourselves, right? We don't truly, from a birth, like we're not taught what is the body. Like, okay, oh yeah, this is an organ, this is the head, this is, you know, we get taught the basics, we get taught basics anatomy, but we don't really go beyond that, you know, unless you're sort of specializing in certain areas, study, right? You know, the more that we're learning with science, there's, you know, we talk about energy and we talk about, you know, that there's all these epigenetics and all these other studies that are out there, you know, quantum studies and quantum physics and whatever. We're only really scratching the surface. And I think for me, what's really important is trying to understand ourselves in that way. So what you do, Connie, with what you do and your people you help, because you certainly did that for me, right? Like you certainly opened that up totally, because where I was, you know, I came in, I mean, when you met me, I came in this closed individual that was so, you know, like I was acting like I was this big tough man, but the reality was I was like curled up in a corner on, oh, don't look at me, you know, like, and that's how I was when I came into you. But you allowed me to feel safe again, or give me that direction to open up to feel safe, right? And understand that I'm okay. Can you explain from your teachings, your understanding, your awareness, or even from your own personal experience, how we come to that place of being safe or feeling safe?
Well, like I said, well, like you said in the intro, I'm a big believer in our number one human need is to be understood. And I find that just when, I've learned techniques over the years, of course, like, to just simply say, I understand. And just as a person, when you're talking to someone, they don't need to agree with you. But if they say, I understand, it takes pressure off. Like if I was trying to explain something to you now, but you didn't agree with what I said, but you simply said, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Connie, but this is what I think, I'd be open to that discussion. But if you just went, nah, that's wrong. And so that's a big one for me. I like to understand my client, and through my personal experiences, there's no way known I could do the work I do unless I've had the life that I've had and still live. Because I've been in abusive relationships. I've had multiple miscarriages. I've had plenty of loved ones pass away. Like I've lived my life. And I can relate to at least one thing that every single person comes to me with. And I've got my own story to tell, which then helps people feel so much more understood, because, I've spent, like in my early 20s, I was so messed up that, in my opinion, messed up. And I would I had health phobias through the roof. I was so scared of everything that came out on the news. I was just so scared I was going to die, so scared I was going to get sick. And I used to take a blanket and go to the local hospital and sleep in the emergency car park just so I could sleep. And I had a partner at the time, and he didn't really understand, but he wasn't trying to get in my way either. He'd be like, just do what you got to do. And I'd literally go there and just sleep so I could get some freaking sleep. My parents growing up, like there was a lot of passion, I guess, in both good ways and bad ways. But when, I've got an Italian background, so we're very passionate, very emotional, very outspoken, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there was my parents fought quite a lot growing up and would sort of ignore me as a child, trying to calm them down. So I've got a lot of trauma from that, from my point of view. As an adult now, I can see that it wasn't as bad as I thought, but as a child, it was debilitatingly traumatic. So, there's lots of, like, I wasn't a parent until I was 38. So I had many years, so I was much more mature as a parent. So I can actually help so many different aspects of people. And my story goes for days and days. I could talk about all different experiences. I took quite a lot of recreational drugs growing up. We lived in a country town and there was nothing to do. So that's what us kids did. We got into a lot of trouble, all that sort of stuff. I've got family with mental illness, and there's just so many things like that have happened. And just recently with this pandemic, I sort of went quiet for a while, because usually I go weekly and do lives on my Facebook page and I, talk to my people, so to speak. But I just went quiet for a while because I actually had to experience it before I could help people. Like at first, when it all started, I was like, oh, I've got to get out there and I've got to put a course together and I've got to do some tapping and I've got to do some energy healing and I've got to do this, got to do that. And I thought, well, I don't know how to do it because I haven't been through it. So now it's just the last couple of months that I've started resurfacing and bringing people together and holding circles for people to talk about where they're at, everything, because I can understand it now. So I really find that my work is based on my healing. So when I first started doing Reiki over 10 years ago, EFT over 10 years ago, working with spirit 20 years ago, it was all for me so that I could step forward into a new day, and then I just thought, hang on a minute, I'm at the point now where I need to share this to help others so they don't have to suffer as bad as I did, or guide them out, out of the darkness, because geez, it can get dark. It can get very, very dark. We all know that. But it's when we first ask for help, but more importantly, we accept the help. And that's what I encourage people to do, because the more I show up, the more people see me on social media, the more they get to trust me, and they've never met me. But then when they reach out, as soon as I meet them, it's like we've got this connection already, because I also bring in spirit to say, bring the people that are ready. So I know when someone's sitting in front of me that, bang, we're there to work. So it's quite a journey, but it's a win-win. It's always a win-win. I get something out of every session for myself personally, because the people that come are just absolutely phenomenal and ready to step into their life again.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think you touched on some really important things there, and you know, and one I really want to talk about, and I was just talking about it recently, funnily enough. You know, a lot of us do get into this for like when we get into this, we're usually going on our own self journey, right? And I think, you know, well, I like to think that anyone that's in this space is at least doing the work, right? Because if we're not doing the work, then I don't know how we could truly have empathy and understanding, you know, for a lot of things. Now, if life is perfect and it's great and there's nothing to work on, well, that's amazing. But for me personally, I believe that for myself that I'm going to be ever learning and you know, ever growing, you know, and I think that's something that I want to do. But what you sort of said about us getting into this, you know, we're doing it for ourselves. Well, that was exactly my journey too, right? And where I've come today. And I think the more that we do for ourselves, the more that we can have experiences with, or have some understanding with. And, you know, my journey as well, like I've said it so many times that I don't need to say it again here, but my journey coming from where I did to where I am, it really comes to a point that without that journey, how can I truly have empathy, right? Like, because now, again, if life is perfect and life is amazing, then there's no problem with that. But for me, where I am in the space that I am, for where I am, my life experiences and my journey really allows me to have the empathy that I have, because without it, I would just be imagining, or, you know, or empathizing in the sense that I can hear what they're saying, or I can imagine what they're saying, or whatever, you know. And there's so much depth that comes to me from my experiences. And look, maybe there's an aspect of me that really needs to believe that, right? Because of the journey I've had, you know, but it certainly allows me to have a deeper understanding. And, you know, I think that's really important for us to have that ever growing journey with ourselves. So could you tell us a little bit about, you know, your awareness around energy, Connie, and, you know, in the sense that, you know, about ourselves personally, because as we said, we don't really get taught anything outside the current structure of biology and the basics of it, right? So what have you experienced with your clients in regards to energy and so forth that's allowed them to also have these shifts or transitions?
Well, energy is one thing that every scientist, every alternate therapist, every person in the world actually agrees on. It's the one thing that everybody knows exists, which is phenomenal, straight up. So my personal experience with energy is because, well, firstly, I'm a Pisces as well, which is next level. So I don't know if you know much about Pisceans, water signs, the Scorpio and Cancerians as well. We're extremely emotional. So we need to be very mindful of energy as well, because when, like, for instance, I mentioned the other day when I went out to the shops, and we're in Melbourne at the moment, and the energy is very, very low in Melbourne at the moment. It's very hard to lift ourselves and others just based on the pandemic and all the restrictions. It's a different world at the moment. And because we're all connected energetically, we're feeling it. And I was just at the shops and I was at the checkout and I nearly just burst into tears. And I thought, oh, shit, I didn't protect myself today. So I like to talk about protective type of scenarios with our energy, because we are all connected. So, and that's how I work. So when someone comes in, for instance, for a reading, I blend with them energetically straight away so that I can tune into them and give them messages from spirit, because I'm blending with spirit and I'm blending with them. So I allow my energy by just setting the intention, I literally just blend with them fully. So we're totally connected at once. So I need to be mindful that I disconnect from that after I work with them as well. So they know that that's how I work, because that's how I explain it. And when people allow themselves to be an energetic being, you literally just take your mind out of it. And I can take people on guided meditations or Reiki healings or whatever, where we say, okay, this is an energy healing. So what we need to do is get into that space where we just become energy. And energy it's like we just want to disconnect from our physical. We just want to disconnect from our body. We want to disconnect from our, physical ailments, all that sort of stuff, and just be. And so that's the intention for a lot of my healing sessions, where people will lie on the table. I'll connect to Reiki, which is just energy life force. Everybody's got it in them. I don't think anybody's better than anybody else when it comes to energy work. And I really believe it's just setting an intention, and anybody can do it. I know that when we energetically feel pulled to certain people and repelled by people, that's energy as well. So I find that, for instance, you might go for an energy healing with someone and think, oh, that wasn't for me. And just your energy just didn't flow. But then you'll go somewhere else and you'll just want to go back and back and back and tell everybody about them. So energy is a really big thing, but we need to honor it and allow ourselves just to feel and see what's going on. Just like literally sit. A lot of the time I sit on the grass because I like to connect with Mother Nature, and I'll just sit on the grass and just let all my energy do what it needs to do. And if it's messy, and a lot of the time it gets messy because I'm very sensitive, the more work we do, we become more sensitive too. So we've got to really be mindful of that. And so I sit down on the grass and I just allow, and I set the intention that Mother Nature's just pulling out any energy that's dark or stagnant or negative, and it just absorbs into Mother Nature, and she just goes and transcends it into love. But I also receive a beautiful boost of energy from that grounding, because I need to then come back into my body as well. So energy, look, I personally don't know all the big names. I don't do lots of study outside of what I know, because I get a lot of stuff from spirit. And it's really hard, because I'm certainly not in the convincing game. I won't sit and have a debate with someone who's trying to prove me wrong. But I'll have a debate with someone who's open to talking about their experiences from a supportive point of view. But when it comes to things that I know, I just know them, and I just know, and I can't explain why. So my relationship with spirit has been very much a knowing. I've read plenty of books, I've seen a lot of people's points of view, and I take a bit of everything, but I make it my own. And that's what I really encourage people to do. So there may be stuff I'm saying today that's just going in one ear and out the other, and that's okay. But the parts that are resonating with you, hold on to them and build from there, because I think everybody's personal journey's got a lot to do with it. But really, the self-care in that energy is imperative for people's survival, especially with the world the way it is at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I think, it's very, energy's been very key for me too, like it's, like yourself, I've kind of worked in, like I've looked at a few different areas, I've looked at different points of views, and I've done what, and again, I've always said that, right? I always take what is right for me, and I hold on to that, and I don't have to take on everything, right? And I say that to my, people that are wanting to listen here or whatever, people that it's not about my opinion. It's not about my opinion. It's about you. It's about us finding what's right for us in whatever's out there, right? And finding that discernment. And, when we talk about energy, like my heart space is where I lead from now, right? When it comes to energy, like a lot of the time, a lot of my growing up, you know, with discipline and structure and wherever, you know, there's a lot of explanations. There's so much out there in relation to the ancient text, to modern science, to whatever, that talks about the heart space and the energy, right? So this is kind of the center that I'm, they're all connected. There's no separation, but this is the center that I'm really tuning into when I'm leading, right? From here on in. And I think for me personally, like we talk about the gut, we know, oh, I just feel it in my gut, or, you know, or someone just stepped on my grave because I got shivers or whatever, all this stuff that's around us energetically, you know. And the more we become aware, you know, we talk about positive, negative, but remember in science, positive, negative is a line and a plus sign, right? So like, you know, what's negative, what's positive? Well, who knows? You know, our definition of negative is, you know, well, it might be a negative experience we don't particularly like, right? But, you know, sometimes what is it in science? So two negatives don't make a positive, or whatever it is. You can't, you know, whatever, you know, you put them together and they just, you know, with a magnet or whatever, you put the magnet together, it's just going to push away from it, right? It's not because that magnet's better than that one or that one's worse than that one. It's just that doesn't fit, doesn't mesh, right? And the more that I've learned for myself with the energy side of things, you know, and we talk about, you know, there's a lot of people out there to potentially look into, you know, the ones I've really liked and it, you know, I suppose enjoyed the most is people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, you know, Dr. Bruce Lipton, all these other people that are out there. There are a few more on the list. You know, I also love the Dalai Lama, and I love this and I love that, and I love all different aspects. But for me, the energy side of things is really coming to understand ourselves. And when we say feeling, we're not talking about feelings, we're talking about really connecting with who we are as an energetic being, right? And who we are, and trusting ourselves versus what we're told, what we're shown, or not that we have to disband those, but we really need to start listening to ourselves. If your gut's going rampant and telling you this just isn't right, or you feel like your heart's closing off, or the throat's starting to, all these things. Now, these are things we need to start looking into or listening to. Or now, do I have the explanations for what they are for you? No, no, I don't, because they're your things. You know, this is stuff we need to work out for ourselves. But I really love how you're saying with the energy that, you know, there's so much connection in that energy, right? Or even when we talk about connecting with God, connecting with spirit, connecting with our higher selves, connecting with our friends, our family, you know, knowing when someone's going to call you, like there's heaps of people who go, oh, geez, I was just thinking about you, or whatever. There's so much out there where that connection can be proven and shown as existing, right? And if we're open to looking at it, or open to see it, or open to hearing it. And I really enjoy the fact that how much we can really discern and work out for ourselves when we start listening to ourselves energetically. I suppose with in regards to what you do, Connie, and where you're at, what would you say to the people that are starting this journey and wanting to really, they may know that life isn't exactly where they want it to be. How would you say that they could potentially start their journey of looking into what may be right for them?
Oh, so everybody's different. So different. And I guess wherever they feel pulled, because, you know, there's so much out there, like you say, and there's so much rubbish. There's so much rubbish, and it makes it hard for people like in our field when there is so much rubbish there, because, you know, people can just made up their mind because they had one bad experience. But I really encourage people to use that as a lesson, because at the time, perhaps they were misguided, they didn't trust themselves, perhaps they were recommended by somebody who was on a completely different path. Like there's reasons why that happened, and it can't just make up your mind that that's it. You're not going to keep moving forward, because there's always a lesson in everything. And the minute you think you know everything, that's the biggest problem there ever is. So keep searching for something, like I use my angel cards every day. And that's a bit woo-hoo, whatever to some people. But I'll just ask the question. It could simply be, what do I need to focus on today? And something comes out for me, and that's my guide for the day. But I have that relationship and I have that trust. But if you are looking for something, I would encourage some sort of energy work. It's all amazing. And just let yourself go and experience something that you wouldn't usually do. Like, there's Palawa, there's Reiki, there's EFT, there's so many things out there. And all it is energy. It's just moving energy. And when we flow, that's when we breathe better. That's when we think clearer. That's when we love deeper. That's when we accept ourselves. And when we're not feeling in alignment, it's because our energy is blocked. So we all agree energy is real. So if that makes it easier for you to do something, just knowing that energy is real, play with your energy. Let someone that you resonate with, you could just go through on YouTube, not YouTube, the phone book or whatever. Google.
Yeah.
Phone book. Where am I in the 80s? And just Google and look at their faces, and whoever you like, book with them. And it could be as simple as that. And don't worry about what they do, perhaps, and just turn up. Because when I actually did EFT for the first time, it was really interesting, because this was over 10 years ago. And what had happened was, I had an ex-husband who was extremely abusive. I was in situations where I feared for my life from time to time. And I finally left him. And it was the scariest thing I ever did. And then when I finally got into a relationship again, my now husband was an absolute bloody delight. And he was being really kind and everything. And after about 10 months of that, I couldn't handle it anymore. I was saying things like, I know what you're saying, I know what you're thinking. And I was trying to sabotage a loving relationship because I wasn't used to it. I was just damaged. And in the end, one morning, I woke up and I thought, that's it. I'm leaving him. I can't do this anymore. And it was my battle. He had no idea what was going on. And I ended up, I saw this sign, and it was this sad face and a happy face. And I'm thinking, where is that? Where is that sign? Anyway, so at the time I was a rep. I was working sales on the road. And it was nearly Christmas. It was, this was maybe 10, 12 years ago now. And I was driving. It was about 10 to 6 at night, and I saw this sign, and I drove in, and I rang the number, and it was just a house. And I rang the number, and I said, "Hi, I'm here to see you." And the voice on the end of the phone just said, "Okay, hang on, let me just check my diary." I said, No, I'm here in your driveway. And he goes, "Oh, well, hang on, I've got a client at 6 o'clock. I said, "They're not coming." And he's like, hang on a minute, let me just ring and confirm them. And I sat in the driveway, and sure enough, he opened his door and he waved me in, because I knew that client wasn't coming. I just don't know, all this just happened. So anyway, I got to his front door, and he looked at me and he goes, "Do you always get what you want?" And I thought, oh, I must. And I didn't realize that I had allowed all that bullshit in my life. I had allowed it. I didn't do anything about it. So all that I allowed. And I sat there for, I think at the time, it was $200 for 2 hours. And I had 200 cash in my pocket, and I never had cash. And I walked in, I did this session thinking I knew what my issue was. It wasn't my issue at all. And I just went, oh my God, what the hell just happened? Teach me this. I have to help people. That's all I cared about. And I turned around and I walked out going, I deserve love too. That's all it was. And it was as simple as that. And it changed my life. And it was just because I got out of my way. I got my ego out of the way. I got my head out of my ass, and I trusted and I asked for guidance, and that sign popped in my head, and I just went, well, I'm not going to stop till I find that sign. And, you know, that's a bit out there for some people. But whatever that is for you, whatever you feel you need, trust that you'll find it and expect it to come. Don't chase it, attract it, because nothing that is meant for you will ever pass you by, ever.
Yeah, that's how strong are those words, right? Because, you know, I talk about attachment, I talk about other things. You know, when we attach something to a, you know, have an attachment to something, whether it's, you know, I'm even things like, it's more I need this than I'm going to get this, right? So as you said, when we're attracting something to us, it's like it's coming, it's on its way. That's it, done, right? We know it's on its way, it's happening. When we have the attachment to it that I need this, it's coming, I need this, I want it, it's coming. I find that's been my blockages, right? When I've been in that space, because it's coming from a place of my belief of need versus it's just already here, right? Or it's just going to happen, you know? And I think that's where, you know, if we talk about things like manifesting and other things that are out there, that's when I've best created in that space, is when I've just gone, okay, I believe it, it's here, it's coming, and just leave it. You know, not checking my emails every 5 minutes going, has it turned up yet? Has it turned up yet?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, and I think that, you know, what other point that I'd love to take out of that is that there is no right way, right? There is no one way, no definite way, no my way, no that person's way. It's your way, your individual way of finding what it is that we need, right, in life, and being vulnerable enough and willing enough to put yourself out there to allow it to come to you, to allow you to be in that space, and to trust yourself enough, and whatever it is for you that allows you to have that trust that it's coming, you know. And I think, or it's going to show up, and that was so pertinent for me too in my stuff. The more that I've been able to do that and feel vulnerable enough and safe enough in those moments of knowing it's going to be okay, that knowing that it's fine, has brought so much more forward to me, or for me, and in front of me, than ever hunting and chasing and you know, pushing people out the way and fighting to get to that front spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's been very interesting, but I think that was really powerful in the sense that
simple as sorry.
No, go.
An example I heard recently, which was great, was it's as simple as when you go to a cafe, you sit down and you order a coffee, and you sit and you wait. Your coffee comes. You don't have to chase the waitress. You don't have to watch the barista. You don't have to do anything like that. You just sit. You don't have to keep ordering it. And that's how it works. You put it out there. You expect it to come. You know it's coming. You act like you've already got it. You get that energy as if you've received it. Like you said, you work with Joe Dispenza. I'm having a love affair with that man. He's incredible. And you just get out of your way. You put your order in. You expect you have it. You're grateful you've got it. And that's it. And it comes in divine time. And that's a little trust, isn't it?
It is, you know, and look, you know, don't be hard on yourself either. You know, like even when we're waiting for that coffee, it's like, come on, I've got to be in a meeting in 5 minutes. Like, come on, there's this coffee. Like, even in that moment, that's the difference between the day potentially, the day potentially being one of, you know, one that's going to be a free flowing good day, or one that's going to be a rush and where we need it tomorrow, right? Or we need it right now. And I think, but the best moments is when you're sitting there with your mate, right? As you said, and you just order that coffee. You couldn't give a shit when it comes, right? You're just sitting there chilling, having a chat, waiting for it to happen. And it turns up, funnily enough, right? You didn't even watch the time. You didn't even know how long it took. You didn't even care. You weren't looking around for the waitress every 5 seconds. Like, and those moments are awesome. I think really awesome.
Yeah. But I will say, Benjamin, it's interesting because you really got to be definite with the infinite when you do put your order in,
Yeah.
because there's nothing worse than there was a time many years ago, and I say this story, it's very funny to me. I was at the pub with some friends, and I had had too many drinks. And I was ready to go home. Like, I was pretty pissed. And I'd said to everybody, we've got to go. And they're like, oh, half an hour. We're going half an hour. I'm like, all right. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll walk up and down the bar where, when people are drunk, they take their money out and they drop it on the ground, right? So I was drunk going, oh, well, I've got nothing to do. I'm going to look for a pineapple on the ground, $50 note, we call it a pineapple, right?
Totally.
So I'm going, all right, universe, give us a pineapple, give us a pineapple. So guess what I found on the ground?
A literal pineapple?
Yeah, a freaking slice of pineapple from someone's cocktail. So I'm there, drunk, swaying, got this pineapple in my hand, up at the roof, putting it up at the sky, laughing, going, good on you, universe, thanks very much. Everyone's like, oh my God, she's crazy. I'm like, I really am crazy. But that's just an example that we got to be so definite with our requests, because, someone might say, I want a man. I want a man that's got money, and emotionally available, for example. They get that, but he may live with his mum and his 3 children, and his ex-wife lives out the back. Well, you got to be really specific. If that's what you want, great. But if it's not what you want, you need to really ask for exactly what you want. Else you will get a pineapple.
No, you're dead. That's so true, isn't it? And I think, being really, really clear on what it is you're wanting, and getting those clear, that clear indication, because, someone else said this to me one time, like, for instance, that, just say that you're out there looking for a relationship, right? And you're ticking off, like, if you've got like 3 things on the list that, oh yeah, I want these 3 things on the list. And you get those 3 things, there might be another 30 things that you go, oh, that's not what I wanted. So
That's right.
Someone said to me, when you're manifesting, you want at least 40 or 50 things on the list, right? And the universe will give you what you want, but they'll also make, the universe will also make sure you want what you want, right? Yeah. In a sense that, look, you might have 40 things on the list, and guess what? You just meet a bloke who's got 20 things on the list, all ticked off. Fantastic bloke.
Yeah.
But there's 20 things that aren't on that list, right? Yeah. That aren't ticked off. And the universe will be like, so are you going to wait for the next 20? Or do you want this 20? Do you really want the 40? You know what I mean? And I think that's, you're dead right. You've got to be very clear on what it is you want. And once you set that, what it is that you want, now, of course, we can change our minds. We can do whatever we want. Everything's open to us, right? We've all got free will to do that. But we also can get to a point where we get given things, or we receive things that may not tick off the whole list. And we need to make a choice: are we going to settle? Are we going to settle for what we've got? And, some things, it's very important to, I think, understand for yourself what it is you truly want, because, we also could write a list of 40, 50 things that really don't mean shit to us, to be honest with you. You're just writing out a list. So I think it's really coming to that place of knowing yourself enough to really know what it is you want. That's really important with that side of it.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, that's I love that pineapple story. So how true, huh? How true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, well, I think we're
sometimes the universe throws. I was just saying, sometimes the universe throws a curveball in there, just to see how much you do want it. Like you say, it's like the universe is saying, well, you sure you want it? How much do you want it? And then you just get back on track, more determined than ever.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. I think that's certainly been my journey anyway. Yeah, okay. So I think we're coming to the end of our time here, Connie. Is there anything else, can you just let these guys know where they can hit you up if they ever want to connect with you?
Sure. I at the moment, I'm rejigging my website, but that should be ready to go in a week or two, which is the healingacademy.com.au. And you'll also Instagram at the Healing Academy Australia. So that's where I am at the moment.
Fantastic. And yeah, been awesome chatting with you, Connie. And, I can't thank you enough for, putting up with this rough and ready, because let's be honest, like where I was at that time, I would say possibly I could have even challenged you where you were at that time, right? Because I was a very aggressive man back then. I was very angry. I was very whatever. And there would have been, I can only imagine there may have been some triggers potentially for you of having someone that like that in front of you, right? From your own previous experiences. So, and that's something I think that's very important too for us, is understanding that things may come up for us when we're potentially helping people, right? As well. And that's about holding that center and holding that safe yourself in a place that that you're safe, that you're okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's very important to me to keep tapping whilst my client's tapping, because I do get triggered. But I also have the responsibility of cleaning out my stuff regularly by tapping every day. So that's something that's very important as a practitioner. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Thank you. So here's the big finale questions.
Oh, here we go.
If you were to go back in time and spend 30 seconds with yourself, what wisdom would you share with yourself, your inner warrior within, to create a life by design? Also, at what age would this be and why?
I feel like it's about 18 years old. And I feel like it's stopped taking everything so freaking seriously. And if I had have sort of done it then, I would have got better over the years. But I would take absolutely everything so seriously and get so deep so quickly. And I think it's more so just to really have fun, just have fun with the moments. And yeah, I don't even know. That could be any year. That could be this year as well. Like, just have fun with what we've got, because time's fleeting. And, in 12 months' time, is today going to really matter? Like, I really want to have fun more. Just bring that joy out and laughter. That's my theme for my life. Just to laugh it off. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah, funnily enough, I'm getting the same stuff, right? I need to start bringing that fun back into life and that joy, right? And where's that cheeky bugger or that cheeky kid that I once was, that's here within me that just wants to have fun and enjoy life. And we talk about signs and whatever. Like, I live out in a bush block, and I'm getting the kookaburra around all the time, the galahs and all that sort of stuff, and the cockies, and it's just like, it's always around, those that know that these guys are, the epitome of having fun and laughter and all that sort of stuff, these birds. So, you can see those things and take them how you want, or you don't and you do, or whatever. But for me personally, I definitely want to bring more fun in my life. That means so much. And I think that's so true. And I think a lot of us could really, have that sort of, bring that sort of into our lives, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much, Connie. And remember,
Thank you,
guys,
Benjamin.
Yeah, it was really good to have you on. And I think, we're going to have to talk again off air, I think, as well.
Perfect. And I'm loving your show, and I'm sharing it with everybody. So thank you so much, and keep going. You're making me very, very, very happy.
Thank you. And remember, guys, explore, create, and be.